recovering from injury, so he's not logged a lot of minutes. And again, when he came on, he was that scrappy little terrier we've seen, and that suits his role. He's nippling at the heels, he's getting into the tackles, and he's getting forward. He had a good few chances, I think, against Milan when he came on in the Audi Cup. So it's good to see him come back. But we've got a lot of options, and that's why I don't think Poch is overly concerned with fulfilling that role.
No, I don't think he is either.
Maybe not. And well, let me go back to your thoughts on Dyer. I don't think that he's deserving of really any criticism. I only noticed, and I watched it almost twice today again, and he had one bad pass. He had a fantastic tackle on one side of the 18 with his off foot, with his left foot. I'm trying to think who that was against. Which, by the way,
on Shaw.
It was. That's right. It was a great tackle. It was a really great tackle. And I think in what he was asked to do was to keep it simple and not give up possession and play physical. And I thought he did that. And I thought he moved pretty well. Whereas in the Audi Cup, I thought he looked awkward. Yeah. He needs to get rid of those black boots. He looks so slow in it. And he's not that slow. He needs to get rid of him.
And of course, the highlight for him was giving Ashley Young the verbals, which I think that Vine was doing the rounds.
Well, you know what, too?
Diver.
He's terrible. It made me wonder, though, did that midfield partnership, it may just be, it may be something that is going to be there for a little while, but is that with the anticipation that because of the physical nature of United's midfield, that they wanted, a young, let's face it, Dyer's a bull. That they wanted someone that can go up against a Schweinsteiger and an Ashley Young and be able to compete with those guys with more of a physical body. Because when you have basically him and Dembele going up that side,
absolutely.
You got some.
No, I think both of those guys.
People.
Both of the. Think we went 3-0 down against them at Old Trafford, and we put Dembele in the second half, and they. So I think you're absolutely right. I think Dyer was selected today for that reason alone. But as I said, I kind of rate Ali being better in that sort of
too.
The more offensive
It'll be really interesting to see what they do next week when we play Stoke. Because the match is at home, and Stoke is coming off a very disappointing 1-0 defeat. They, I don't know if they deserved better, but they always play well at home. And I'm always impressed by their effort. It's going to be interesting because they're going to be, chomping at the bit to get 3 points as well. And Stoke that game was horrible to watch.
And it was heading to a 0-0 draw until Coutinho pulled one out of his arse. And to be fair, I think somebody made a comment that Butland should have done better. He kind of went across it instead of palming it over. I think it went off his thumb. Yeah. He was just a fraction off in his timing, but he made a good effort for it. And it's just a shame because I kept saying 11 weeks ago those guys played the exact same fixture in the same venue, and it was a different result. Obviously, it benefited us, but I thought Stoke looked ordinary. Charlie Adam was, one tackle away from getting sent off, which would have been nice because he's everybody's favourite arsehole. But I guess we'll have to just get on his back next week at the Lane, and we're not going to look forward to that because we remember them doing the double over us last season.
Right.
And it's our first home game, and like last season, we turned up and we turned over the Rangers 4-0, and I would hope we can do that with Stoke. It'll be a tall order, but you're right, Ken. They will be looking for some points, and obviously so will we. And it's at the Lane, and bring it on. Yeah,
and for me as well, it's this is my first match I ever saw was against Stoke last year in person. So this matchup, Tottenham and Stoke, has a little bit of soft spot for me, so it's always going to be a big, not a big rivalry game for me, but it's going to be one of those things that I look forward to every year, especially when they go to the Britannia. It's at White Hart Lane. But I'm kind of digging the fact that we get to play Stoke pretty much early in, because it'll bring back some memories for me when I see those lineups come out. One of the things I mentioned during the broadcast was, and I did it a couple times, was about Michael Carrick. 34 years old now, 600 club games, 75 of those were for Spurs 9 years ago. And I wanted to kind of lean on the two of you, and I'll start with you, Simon. What are your memories of Carrick as a Tottenham player?
Well, you got to remember back then there was not a lot of coverage over here, and I was still kind of getting to grips with this whole CDM process, and I really didn't see the value in Carrick, but I sure as heck noticed it once he left, and kind of saw not us being a selling club, but kind of got irate at how we were able to recruit talent and nurture them, and then suddenly have them picked off, because only 4 years later Berbatov started off to United as well.
Right.
And we'd gone through it with Sheringham, and that's why I probably don't like United a lot, because we tend to allow that to happen far too often, and with these nagging rumors of Lloris still going to United, I just don't know why we keep doing that. It's just, it's insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. The result is we end up flogging our best players to United or Madrid, and
for money.
It really pisses me off. So, Teddy came back after his trophy haul at United, and I think we all begrudgingly allowed him to come back. I don't know what the Spurs fans think of Carrick. I think he's past it, and I really don't see the benefit of him coming back to us if the option was there.
No, not at 34 years old either. Not, and especially the system we run. It seems just a little bit too much.
Yeah, Poch doesn't want players over 30. I don't think. I think he's very similar to Wenger in that ideal. As he signed someone called Petr Cech.
Well,
we'll save that bit. We'll save that bit, right?
And it was kind of tough watching, Sam had made mention in one of the notes, really tough watching Snyderlin play against us, because he looked every bit the part that we exactly need in the defensive mid-roll, right, Sammy?
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it was tough to watch. He was quite good. Although Musa nicked him, nicked a ball off him just north of the 18, and we didn't do much with it, but I thought that was interesting. Yeah, he's really good. He's definitely the engine there, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. And Darmian as well. Their new right back they got from Torino. He played outstanding.
He did. He played very well. He played really well.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick. You know who played well for us was Ben Davies. He's got no mention whatsoever. Now, granted, I mean he didn't get tested, and I really felt Van Gaal made a huge mistake. I mean, I know that Walker had kind of a tough time the last time he played them, but why he didn't put Memphis Depay on Ben Davies, I have no idea. But there was only one instance that entire game where he got beat. Darmian beat him on the right side, and other than that, he was great. In fact, he made a ridiculous right-footed pass to Eriksson that was a good 20, 25-yard pass, sort of under a pressurized situation. I thought he played very well.
Yeah. I did too. And when you look at Davis, I mean that's almost a last-minute thing. I mean, Rose gets hurt in training the day before, and all of a sudden you're going to bed knowing I'm playing 90 minutes at Old Trafford. And listen, Davis is a professional. That should not be a big, something that gets him so nervous that he can't sleep and he can't perform well. And I think he performed extremely admirably. Played a great game. It's the type of performance I think that we should expect out of him, what we wanted from him when we signed him from Swansea. And that's the kind of performance that also pushes Danny Rose.
Yeah, no, and I think we differ a little bit on Walker this week. I thought he was very good, but to your point about the competition at left back, having Trippier, who I thought played very well when he had his chance at the Audi Cup, particularly the second game, I think it's pushing Walker as well. Look, I know we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, but I just want to say this, and I can only speak for myself. I wasn't feeling good about going into that match. Old Trafford is Old Trafford. It's a terribly hard place to play. They've got some great players. Turns out we weren't going to have our starting left back, and we had basically the same squad that we had last year. We played quite well, and we lost 1-0, and Twitter's all alone.
Yeah.
And it's the first game of the season, for God's sake.
Yeah, and then the West Ham Arsenal game happened, and everybody...
And then life is good again.
Oh my God!
We're gonna win the league. We're gonna win the league.
Leicester's on top of the table.
Yeah. No, I got out of service today, and I flicked on my phone. I was like, "No way!" And where shall we begin?
Well, let's begin with Ben. Let's begin with Ben.
Talk about the 15-16 Invincibles, as they've already been dubbed. That's over.
I'm waiting to see somebody already have that tattooed on them before the season started.
Okay,
that
wait.
would have been excellent.
And they have been tipped as early champions favorites.
Sure.
I would never do that in a million years. But so Ben Foreman, who's my counterpart for San Diego Spurs.
What's up, Ben?
Yo,
what's up, Ben? I think it's his birthday weekend. He
Birthday.
celebrated his birthday yesterday. He, in his splendor of a Dallas Spurs shirt, we traded shirts metaphorically in Denver. He didn't make the Denver trip, but his wife did, and Matt Downey of San Diego Spurs, who we have doffed our cap to many a time on this podcast. We traded shirts. I'm actually wearing my San Diego Spurs shirt right now in honor of his viral video. If you want to check him out, at SD Spurs, you should be able to find it. I think it's retweeted by his wife, Allison Foreman.
And I've retweeted it as well on the Hotspur America page.
And then I think Yid Army for Life did, and I had over 20,000 views. So he asked Siri, who's the worst team in football. She went, oh dear, Arsenal seem to be bottom of the English Premier League. And I think the kicker that makes it really, really nice once he stops laughing is he looks at the camera and goes, fuckers. And that's
so
it.
good.
It's brilliant. And of course, a lot of people have tried it. My children have done it.
Yeah.
And I've done it. My wife just shakes her head and looks at me with this glance of disdain. But it was classic. And I've seen enough GIFs and Vines and Photoshop edits. I think who was it? Billy T.
Oh, Billy T's was great. Well, he blew up Twitter a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I think he's a teacher in London.
With the Paulinho tweet.
Yeah, which is he tweets Barclays Bank and says, at Barclays Bank, I'd like to report a fraud. And they respond back and says, how can we help you? And he says something to the effect of, the Chinese just spent $10 million up for Paulinho.
Levy.
And then he goes #Levy, and it just Daily Mail picked it up. I mean, it got picked up all over the place. So he's which, by the way, he was supposed to come to that Rob White barbecue, and then for whatever reason didn't. Yeah. But hopefully one day we'll meet him because he's evidently a gas. So he's at it again today, and you guys take it away. I mean, it was
well. If you've seen the highlights, Chet comes for a cross into the box and completely misses it, but if you freeze frame it, it looks like he's doing a Chesney selfie.
He's got both arms extended, right?
As he's he's coming to punch the ball, and he's completely missed it. Was it Kayati got the first goal? Was it
Kayati?
Yeah. Kayati. And so he's actually, even as he falls, he's looking back to the goal, knowing that he's royally fucked it up.
Yeah.
And so, of course, he's caught mid-screen and it looks like he's doing a selfie instead of going for the ball. And without paraphrasing or quoting exactly what Billy T tweeted, it was a massive retweet all over Twitter after the game.
It was basically Oh, sorry. I was just going to say it was basically the effect of, he's proper Arsenal now taking a selfie. And that's what he said.
Absolutely. Well, and I think they were ripped by Roy Keane for being obsessed with six-packs and selfies. And you know what? He's spot on. They kind of started that, and it kind of snowballed from there when they won at the Lane a couple of seasons ago and were there in front of their section taking selfies. What a bunch of overindulged pricks.
Hey, Chair, so I just want to say, you talked about Ben, but it's worth mentioning what his wife, Allison, did, because that thing went viral. And like 20,000 people watched it, and then the Gooners start trolling her. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to use some bad language, so if you got kids listening, earmuffs. But this is
They're already ruined if they've been listening this far.
I'm excused here because this is a lady. This is a lady that these words, a lady's mouth that these words come out of. So Barry McCain, who's clearly a goon, says, "What does a stupid yank know about football? Fuck all, fucker." And then, and then Allison Foreman, who's like, what is she? She's at Allie Foreman. She goes, "You know your team is owned by an American, you dumb gooner cunt." I'm sorry.
Yeah, we don't know anything about that.
#owned.
It seriously was. And so then the conversation ended, and Allie wins. So I thought that was fucking... That family owned the internet today. So between those two and Billy T.
Well done to the Foremans. Well done to the Foremans.
Cheers.
Yeah, indeed.
Very good. Listen, and we relish in this. But I gotta tip my cap just